Hey, it's Just So Trish, and this is a two-part series on the Tuttle twins. Okay, so if you had seen last June 2022, there was a deal going out by the Tuttle Twins Guide about pre-ordering the American History book. So I went ahead and I ordered the American History textbook, and when I did, they sent an offer that we could do these guides to beware of your bias, logical fallacies, courageous heroes, inspiring entrepreneurs. So what I'm going to do today is I'm actually not going to review the guide twos. That's going to be in part 2, but part 1, we're going to get to the reason I made the purchase. So here we go. So we're going to set this aside, come back and pick that up later. And what did come in was this all about money kind of news monthly magazine. I'm not sure how you get that, but it came in this order today, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna look at this later on my own. All right, so the American History Tuttle Twin series of American History, 1215 to 1776. I'm not sure if we will be homeschooling or not, or what our homeschool will look like next year, but I knew that I wanted this to be added. One of the things I really like about the Tuttle twins on the few books I do own is that they're very story-like, and it's something that I want to get back into is reading stories to my kids, and I like the idea of short stories. So let's take a look. It has this part right here on the side. When you open it, those who don't learn from the past are condemned to repeat it. And then look at that. So really beautiful artwork on the cardboard, so you know it's going to be amazing. People make an error when they just want to learn about history, but what's really important is that we learn from history not just what they did, but what we need to do about it today. Over here it is. Here it is. Beautiful textbook. It's about 3/4 of an inch, half an inch thick. Nice. It kind of reminds me of an Usborne style binding, you know, beautiful, not, it has like a matte finish to it. Yep, I got kids coming in and out. I want to take a look. How many pages do we have here? 231. I know, not your typical, not your typical review or preview. I'm going to start from the back. All right, so we have sponsor recognition. They have a very thanks. It's really cool. They didn't do pictures. They did artwork. Support. I think this is definitely written to the parent. Let's talk about it. Thought from Connor and Elijah, which is probably another. This book is much different than the average history book. This book isn't a textbook. We think it's better to tell stories, which is what I like about the Tuttle twins. And these stories have lessons to offer us that we can learn from, including powerful ideas about how to create a freer world. Of course, it's these ideas that can now put into practice in our day. That's the point of reading a book like this, to be inspired by past thinkers and doers, and then ponder what we should think and do in our lives. All right, so I'm not going to read that all to you. So very nice. So this looks like the end. This is the end of the last page of the textbook. I am so sorry. I keep moving this. I'm a little out of practice. So it's 226 pages. That was my main point. Now to the beginning. All right, so we have our very first page. Again, our title page. Why another history book? So the table of contents and what they're covering is a new world of trade, new lands and new ideas, far across the sea, the dawn of human rights, the nature of empire, in the king's grip, blowback in Boston, the road to war, a recipe for cooperation, loyal no more, and liberty for all. And then there's like, why another history book? And this really gets down, and I really found this to be so true. And this is written by Connor, and it just talks about the problem with today's history, and so what he did was he had got a bunch of social studies books and took a look at them and spent some time. And this is what blew him away. None of the books taught about ideas that led America's founding. You know, they talked about all the different parts, but it's just, he talks about how it doesn't fit to the larger puzzle. And then he talks about the fact that they're taught factoids in history. And I really seen that this year teaching in the middle school in our area, because history was taught as just random or collective facts to know about certain societies in history. But they weren't really talking about the people aspect, the human aspect of the history and how it relates to them. And I ran into that several times when I would teach math and we would talk about the Latin roots and why is your Spanish words close to your Latin roots? Because the majority of my class, 80% was Spanish speaking students that had, and probably 50% of those students spoke Spanish, active Spanish in class or at home that could speak. So we could do vocabulary connections between Latin, Spanish, and English, and how they had kind of a benefit because they would know what some of the root words meant. And we talked about, well, why is that? Well, the Romans conquered everybody, and then those people conquered the Americas, and so you got a derivative of Latin. That's why you have a Latin base. So we talked about those things. All right, so and for me, that's just why I find it important to make it relatable. So this is the new a new world of trade, and this is actually talking about Marco Polo, that setting of that idea. And again, we're connecting history to current. Right? So we have that conversation. You got some artwork. I mean, and honestly, I wouldn't expect to see this, but because it's in a storyline, we're seeing our characters in our story. But then we have a little, look at this. This is kind of cool. More about Marco Polo. So you get a little person in there. So it feels like a storybook. We have a timeline. We have this conflict in the story. Then we have like a little, oh, you can't see that, sorry. We have, again, another little picture to it. I'm kind of wanting more, I guess this would be it. We're still going into the story. We got a bowl of cereal to interact with a map, which I like that idea. I think that's good. I kind of am missing a bit of the map, but if this is to be treated like a story to learn the ideas and the concepts, you can always go back to get the map. Oh, here's my map. Okay, much better. Here's my map. Okay. Then thoughts from Connor. So I kind of like that part. And then let's talk about it. And we have the slogan, Buy America, Buy American, Hire American, which, going into that and how that ties into the original. Again, beautiful artwork. I like their artwork that comes into it. That's kind of cute that we have a pilgrim. Again, I haven't read any of it yet. This is my first look with you. We need more, so we take by war. We raid when we can trade. Why raid when you can trade? So it's talking about the change of mentality. And then you get into actual, I like that, actual paintings, historical, beautiful paintings into it. So this is really cool. We get the Gutenberg press. I really like I really like this. I feel like this is a really good representation to represent memory, that will definitely be more memorable, and you kind of get what's going on here. So we definitely have the king over, the church leader, and you have these chains, like this holding of chains where the king's kind of holding pressure on the church leader to have this chain. And then here we have, a common person being broken from those chains. I mean, so there's a lot going on that I think you can definitely have some good picture study or discussions. So again, timelines, talking pieces, beautiful artwork. So yeah, it definitely does not feel like a typical textbook. It feels like a really cool story with lots of good little information. So I'm hoping that this will help us. That's really nice. Settlement timeline. That's really cool. The first one, like the second one. So we get Virginia. This is really neat. I like this. And you get the timeline. Keep knocking the stand. So they're giving discussion-based prompts. More thoughts from Connor. Very neat. So I'm hoping, now the ages for this, I'm going to tell you, I don't know off the bat what the ages are. I found with some of the Tuttle twins, it just feels like it's upper elementary, maybe lower middle school, depending. I don't plan to use this as a homeschool curriculum just for the ones that will be at this moment, because the ones that we do plan to homeschool are beyond, are older, and the younger ones will possibly be going to the local private school. So my goal with this book is to turn it into a read aloud. That's a neat picture. I like that. And I like the illustrations. I like that the illustrations do a lot of thought-provoking kind of memory work through, you know, not necessarily like this is what it would look like in a picture. That's really nice. So I'm excited about this book. Tell me what your thoughts are. Have you pre-ordered? Is this on your list to do? I was not expecting it to be laid out this way, or not really laid out this way. This was not the format I was expecting. I kind of think I was expecting more of a textbook approach, but I feel because it's, and I love this, thoughts from Elijah this time instead of Connor. And then let's talk about it. I feel like it's definitely showing the past in the application that it can be applied to the same concept today, which will make younger kids, you know, they're not going to understand. They're not in a place to understand this, where this is more relatable, but then you can begin building the connections. Let's see. So I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on this? You know, is this something you're thinking about doing? Have you bought any of the Tuttle twins books? And what have you found to be your favorite? What's your first? We're still getting into Tuttle twins. I'm enjoying them, and I'm curious to know, like, what are you finding to be like your favorite one to do? These are pretty cool. Again, we get into the founding fathers, but I feel like with a book like this, it's going to be so much easier to sit down at night and say, hey, let's read part of this, because it doesn't feel like a textbook. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels like this is very enjoyable. But yeah, I would definitely call this out to be more written towards the middle school, or middle elementary, older elementary. So again, here's why you get, and so they have the cool little picture, Connor and Elijah, and then their takes on it, since we are hearing about them from the past in the book. And there you go. It doesn't say, and I don't remember it ever saying like what ages it's for, but there is the first volume. So there's definitely probably plans to have more. Tell me what you think. Are you getting it? Did you get it? And remember, if you want to stay in part and you want to catch part 2, it's going to be up here in the corner, hopefully, or in the description box. And I will also go through the Tuttle twin guides. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and like this video for homeschool reviews, and go ahead and hit the subscribe. I do a mom chat once a week, time varying as we're going through the summer. And if you want to be notified when those come up, just hit the little bell and you will learn about that. So we are going to talk to you later. I hope you have a great day.